Welcome to the Yellowjackets Hive. I'm Media Melanie here with.
And I'm Emily.
And we are back today with a live stream. We love live streaming, so thanks to everyone who's willing to join
It's been
us.
a long time.
I know we did our Fallout coverage recently, so that definitely took up a lot of our live streaming. But we're back to Yellowjackets this month, so yay!
I'm so happy. I'm so happy to be talking about Yellowjackets again.
I know. Oh my goodness. And you know what? Before we dive in, just because this is kind of a tangential 90s thing, I just want to say I am devastated over the loss of Shannon Doherty the other day. I loved Beverly Hills 90210. I mean, that was the first podcast I worked on. I grew up with that show and those characters. And, having lost Luke Perry was absolutely surprising and devastating. And, we knew Shannon was obviously fighting cancer. And, unfortunately, that battle ended. But just a quick mention to all of the fellow 90s TV people out there. I know there are a lot of you out there, and just wanted to mention that because she was very special.
She was. I was Beverly Hills 90210 was a little bit before my time, but I love Charmed, so I watched her in Charmed, and she was great.
She really was. She was a force to be reckoned with and just such a fighter. And just, wanted to recognize that quickly before we get started. So RIP to Shannon Doherty. We lost a good one.
Yeah.
And speaking of television, Emily, what have you been watching lately?
I've been watching Presumed Innocent on Apple TV, which is so good. Oh my gosh. The last episode, I was like on the edge of my seat at the end. And House of the Dragon on Max. Those two shows have been my constants every week for the last couple weeks now. And baseball, obviously, watching my Phillies kill it.
That's right. All-Star game is today too. So good luck to us who are playing on the same team together in the National League.
I know. So I'm excited about that.
Yes. So you mentioned Presumed Innocent, which is now the most watched drama on Apple TV Plus.
Is it really?
It sure is. And you know what? It was intended to be in a single season, right? Because it's based on the movie and based on a book. But it's so popular, they've decided to bring it back for a second season.
Oh, yay!
Yes. I know. It's unclear if it's going to be like Jake Gyllenhaal in the same cast.
I was just going to say, is it still going to be Jake Gyllenhaal? Because I love him. I absolutely love him.
He does not seem to age, first of all. I mean, is he like Paul Rudd here or what? He came off working Roadhouse, of course. So, he was definitely in shape for that. But yeah, hopefully he'll be back. I kind of doubt it. They said it's going to be focused on a whole new case. So unless it's another case, in his office, and who knows how this is going to end, I feel like it'll be an anthology type of thing, but we'll see.
I could see it being that too.
Who do you think is guilty, by the way?
I don't know yet. Like, a part of me feels like it was him and he just doesn't remember. But at the same time, the show, it reminds me of that show with Tom Holland. I'm drawing a blank on the name of it. The Crowded Room.
Crowded Room, yeah.
A little bit. Like, just the psychological aspect of it. So that's the reason why it makes me think it could be him. And he just doesn't remember. But I feel like at the same time, like, there is evidence that shows that, like, it could have been someone else. So I don't know.
Yeah, and it's a David E. Kelley show. Of course, this is his genre. He's an expert in this craft of these legal thrillers and legal dramas. So he said it's going to be different than the movie and the book. And spoiler alert, it was actually the wife in the book and in the movie, or it was intended to make it sound like it could be either the wife or Rusty. So it shouldn't be the wife here, right?
I expected it be her, like, ever.
Yeah. How could she tie Carolyn up like that in that manner? It's got to be someone strong. And we've seen red herrings, right? It could be Carolyn's son. It could be one of Rusty's kids. I, however, think Tommy Malto is sus.
Yes, that was what I thought
so
too.
Sus. So sus. Like, what is up with that guy? And the more we learn, the more I think, you know what? It could potentially be him.
He seemed to have this, like, weird, like, interest in her, in this woman.
Yeah.
And it was very creepy. And he said things that were very creepy. And yes, that thought has crossed my mind the more the show has gone on.
Yes, and as of a couple weeks ago, it was only that nobody knew, critics, reviewers, nobody had seen the last episode. I assume they probably released it since then,
Yeah.
but it's going to be a big surprise. So can't wait. And obviously, I'm watching that too. So this is
Mhm.
why we're discussing it. But I also recently binged We Are Lady Parts on Peacock, which has 2 seasons. Season
You
two,
told me to watch that.
it is a must watch. It is about a group of Muslim women who form a punk band. They live in Britain. Just the story of their band, it's got this like woman power situation. It's got some language. It's like a little irreverent, quirky. The music is incredible. They have original music and some covers. But if you're into music, punk,
Yeah.
comedy, it's like 30-minute episodes. It's on Peacock. So I
Ooh,
highly
30
recommend that.
minutes? That's appealing.
Exactly. And then I've been watching Criminal Minds. I finished The Bear season 3, and with my daughter, we binged School Spirits on Paramount Plus, which is super cute and kind of in the vein of Yellowjackets fans a little bit.
Really?
So, it's
Okay.
got like the teen drama. It's got some paranormal stuff. It was really cute, and it's getting a second season. So, yeah.
Aw. That's
Yeah.
always cute when you can watch a show with her.
I know. I mean, there might be a little bit of language in it, but like it's not too bad. So,
Yeah.
all right, we've got Kennedy here. Hey, Kennedy,
Hi,
how's it
Kennedy.
going? Nice to see you. And without further ado, let's dive into our topic today, which is the things that we definitely do not want to see in Yellow Jacket season 3.
Yeah.
And
And
actually, you know what?
beyond season 3 as well,
And
honestly.
beyond season 3. And you know
Yeah.
what? One more thing, and this is my bad for forgetting, but we also wanted to mention Ella Purnell is going to be starring in a new show called Sweet Pea on Stars, which
I
is going to
thought
be a
that
dark
was
comedy.
already a show, or was she in a show that had a similar name?
I'm not positive. I believe it was like it might have been in production earlier, or it was in reference to a book, I believe, but they
For
just
some
now
reason,
kind
I
of
just thought it was.
released more about it.
Yeah,
So yeah, I don't know. I'm excited. More
me
Ella
too.
Purnell.
Yeah.
She's such the it girl right now between Fallout and of course Yellow Jackets, and who knows? And I noticed AN on Twitter had said one of the directors for season 3 had actually followed the cast of Yellow Jackets, including Ella Purnell. So if we're
Sweet bitter.
detectiving,
Yes, that's
could
it.
it be possible that, Ella might be back for season 3? Maybe.
I hope. I
And
hope.
one more mention, I noticed on Amazon Prime, and I dropped a link on our Twitter, that Ty and Coach Ben Funko Pops are both on sale right now.
Mhm.
And I'm thinking in my mind, interesting. They had Jackie on sale before. Is this a clue that perhaps we could be losing Coach Ben and Ty in
Ooh,
season 3? I mean, I'm just saying, just detectiving a little bit. Like, why else are they only putting those 2 Funkos on special? I find that sus, Emily.
yes. That is a little sus now that you say that.
Yeah. So
But
anyway, yeah.
Anne just said, you're thinking of Sweet Bitter. The show that I was thinking of is called Sweet Bitter that Ella Purnell was in. And I think she was a waitress in the show, if I remember correctly. So it kind of had a similar, like, story to it from what I remember. Like, it
So she's
sounded
going to be
very
in
similar.
2 shows that start with sweet. That is very
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. Isn't that so weird?
Huh. Yeah, that is
Yeah.
weird. And Courtney Eaton's in a new movie as well that I've seen cross my feed, and the name is escaping me. I know someone will drop it in the comments
Parachute?
here. Parachute. That
I
is
just
it.
watched it the other night,
Did
actually.
you love it?
It made me cry. It
Oh,
made me cry. It was really emotional, I'm not gonna lie. Especially if you know somebody that like has suffered from like addiction or an eating disorder or anything like that. Like I will say like trigger warning, like it could be hard to watch. But she was
okay.
great. She was phenomenal. It was good.
All right.
It was a lot though. Like it was definitely a lot.
All right. So have some tissues ready,
Yes, for
perhaps.
sure. Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
All right. Now back on topic. Sorry about that little left turn there. But the reason we even decided to do this is we put out a tweet, I don't know, a month or so ago that said, what are some things you don't want to see in Yellow Jacket season 3? And it took off. It had, I think, over 200,000 views.
Mhm.
And so we were like, you know what? That's a pretty good topic for a show. Why don't we do it? So let's start by highlighting some of the tweet responses that
Yes.
we got. First and foremost, Emily, you want to read Fish Queen Millie's reply there?
Any kind of suffering or consequences for the character's actions. I think they should be allowed to just have a nice time forever. Like maybe Shauna and Callie can bond over killing Jeff or something. I don't know.
I mean, mother-daughter bonding. And, something in our notes today that you mentioned was that Melanie Linsky mentioned something. And what did she mention?
She said in an interview that like she was privy to a lot of what happens on the show and she knows what's going to happen in season 3, and she hinted that something was going to happen that fans were not going to be very happy about. And I don't know about you, but I would be so devastated if anything happened to Jeff. Like that would just crush me. He is the comedic relief, like the chicken nugget department. I can't get enough of it. And it would just, oh, that would be a gut punch.
It would. I mean, that said, there are people in the fandom that are not big Jeff fans and might like
true.
this bonding of Callie and Shauna over Jeff's death. So, and same with Coach. Like they're both kind of polarizing. They're males in a very female dominated show. So I do think there are opinions on that. So, that was one of the responses. And then Jeff, Walter, and Travis dominating the course of events, which goes back to the male characters, right? So I'm getting the feeling that, more female, less male is preferred. And then we have clone poster here, Coach Ben getting fed by the wilderness while it lets the girls starve in springtime.
That's interesting.
Interesting. And, we both had on our list, we don't want to see Coach Ben dying. Like, we don't want to see Coach Ben. We are Coach Ben believers in him being alive in the present day. People may say, hey, his crutch was in that winter scene, and this and that. But, I'm still choosing to believe that there's a possibility he survived and sent the postcard. So,
yes, I am right there with you. I'm hoping for that.
Yes. Chloe wants zero heterosexuality. I mean, we just did our June episode on Pride and Yellowjackets. That was on Patreon. But I mean, we love all of the queerness in Yellowjackets. I think a lot of the fandom appreciates that as well. And zero heterosexuality. That's another response we got. And then, Shar said, Trav Nat scenes. No Travis Nat.
I like the Travis and Natalie scenes, honestly. I think they add a lot to the show.
I don't mind them either. I mean, someone's got to be with Travis in the wilderness, right? So,
yep.
We'll see. And then how about this last one, Emily?
Them erasing the new relationship dynamics they set up in the finale. Lottie, Shauna, Nat's new leadership role, Misty, etc., due to the wilderness time skip. Yes. I enjoyed that one. Yeah.
And something that we both have talked about in terms of the time jump is, okay, a time jump is fine, but we don't want to see just missing context there, right? We want to still, okay, it's fine to have a time jump, but we're hoping for some sort of at least flashback to see what transpired in this transition between wintertime and springtime. Like, please don't just start fresh and give us nothing. Like, they have to give us something, right?
They have to do it. If they don't do it, like, in a chronological order where we see it from the minute after the fire, like forward, they have to do it in flashbacks. Like there's no way they can just like skip over that whole, like that's a really crucial time for them. Like they have no shelter. They don't know what to do. They have no supplies. Like I want to see how they rebuild and they make that community that we know that they end up developing, because we've seen pictures now. I've seen things on Reddit that hint that like they create some sort of like a miniature camp, like made out of little mini teepee like structures. So yeah, like I want to see how they get to that point. Like that is content that I think is important to the show in some form. If we don't see the whole thing, like I want to see bits and pieces for sure.
Absolutely. And we've talked to, actually, Kennedy, no more porn stash. We'll get into that with Saracusa. But that part is a double-edged sword because it does seem we still might need more resolution with Adam's case. Like we've always talked about, like Walter definitely tied things up very neatly there. So as much as we don't want to see Saracusa, I do wonder if there will be some follow-up for Adam's murder case again.
I think that's a good possibility.
Right. And, back to the time jump situation, AN. Time jumps are understandable, but I don't like when they don't let us see the immediate aftermath of big things like
Yes.
Jackie's death and, the
Yeah.
fire. That's another one. I think they're going to do the same with the cabin and Nat's death. And I hope not. We want to
Yes.
see what actually happened.
But I'm assuming she means Natalie's death in the adult timeline. And the adult
timeline.
And the adult timeline has been a lot more compact, like a lot more happening in a lot shorter of an amount of time. So I can't see them doing a time jump in the adult timeline if they've never done that yet. And I can't see them skipping over how Misty responds to all of this. That is just too important, I think, to see how she handles the loss of her best friend.
Right. And most importantly, to your point, they've never done a time jump in the present day. So it kind of formulaically might not make sense. And we need to see that aftermath because Nat's death is going to shape the adults for the rest of their lives, similar to the traumas out in the wilderness. So
she said, yeah, something's telling me there will just be a 1 or 2 year time jump in the adult timeline. I have no evidence, just vibes.
Okay. Oh my God. Okay. God, I really don't want that. And if they did flash forward a year or two, then what happens with Walter?
That'd be crazy. Yeah.
Are him and Misty still together?
Just shacked up now.
I mean, just so many questions. And, with the time jump in the wilderness timeline too, them separating into clans, which is actually a topic that we've talked about recently as well here on the podcast. But, if they're already divided into these clans, then we need to see how it happened. Although I think we've also said that potentially the clans happen next winter when food is becoming at a premium again. So
yeah.
Yep.
I think that's possible.
Okay, let's see. Let's show more tweets. Matt Chavez, Coach Ben dying. See, Emily, we are not the only ones. There are some other Coach Ben lovers out there. We are here for it. And Brendan just needs Shauna to have a break in the teen timeline. Her best friend died, believing Shauna hated her. And the baby that was the reason for their friendship ending died stillborn. No one should blame Shauna if she's a short fuse in season 3. So yeah, I mean, maybe the time jump will be the break that she needs, and perhaps springtime Shauna will be a whole different vibe, perhaps.
It's possible. I could see them going in that direction too. Ooh, what's this say? I just remembered some pics from the adults timeline. Season 3 set showed posters that said 2023. I hope I'm wrong, though. Was that a behind the scenes picture? Or was that a set picture, though?
Interesting. And, speaking of behind the scenes things, there was an extra. This tweet went like wildfire on one of the accounts, but there was an extra that said, we'll see, what'd she say? We'll see Yellowjackets later this year or something, alluding to the fact that we might be getting episodes in 2024.
Yeah. But I saw something on Reddit that said that this person wasn't really an extra, but this person said that they were picked the day of filming for 1 day of filming. So to me, that's an extra. Don't you think?
I mean, technically you're a background actor if you're there for a day of filming. So maybe they know something. If they did, that was pretty devastating to put out there. I would imagine there's some sort of confidentiality, non-disclosure situation, which obviously should always be respected. But perhaps they're referring to the bonus episode. I mean, we've said we think it's going to be maybe December. So maybe we will get the bonus episode in December and then, the rest of it in 2025. So, AN, you were just full of great information today. Someone did pictures of a street where they were shooting and there were posters there. The person claimed the posters were placed there especially for shooting. Interesting. So maybe there's no time jump in the present day timeline, which would make sense formulaically, but it would be
saying that the posters said 2023, so there would be a time jump because in Yellowjackets time it was
that's right. 2021. That's right. Yeah. See, yes, you're right. I'm getting my numbers crossed. So a 2-year time jump though.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That would give plenty of time to figure out the Lottie situation. Is she still going to be committed in 2 years? And Sammy and Simone. I mean, is it possible that they killed Simone off and she left town with Sammy? And, we just don't really see anything else. And Ty's just going to be this senator. I mean, I don't know. So much speculation. Let's show some more tweets. Raina, Walter and Misty not getting together. I think we all would love to see more Misty and Walter. And I mean, Walter was only supposed to be here for a season, but seems like he's going to be back and, hopefully they're together. I mean, we can
I
hope.
hope so.
We have more men getting screen time, going back to the female dominated vibes of the show. And ooh, Emily, what did Lauren Rosenberg say?
Ben and Akilah dying.
I don't want to see Akilah die. I could go for an Akilah present day reveal, 100%.
Yeah, that would be cool. That would be cool. I'd be down for that.
And then this person, Musty Springfield, doesn't love Coach Ben because she does not want to see Coach Ben alive. She wants to see Coach Ben dead down in the cave. Sorry, Ben. Sad.
Like you said, he's a polarizing character.
He is indeed. And then we have Jackie's plotline being absent.
Well, it's going to go one of two ways. Like, she's either still going to be a part of the show in some way, or we're just not. I mean, they're still going to talk about her, but that's as far as it's going to go.
Right. And I mean, we lost Javi too at the end of last season. So I feel like too, there's going to be, some aftermath from that, especially from Travis, being that it was his brother. And then Iama said straight people, no straight people. So everyone's here for the queer in Yellowjackets. And I think that's fantastic.
Ooh, Kennedy just said Akilah being a plastic surgeon, which I know you're on board with, Melanie.
Oh my gosh. I would love to see Akilah as a plastic surgeon. I think that job she did sewing up Van's face was just phenomenal.
Yeah, that was really good considering the scarring that she had as an adult. Like,
right?
So minimal.
Her Girl Scout experience really did it for her. We have Jamie Lee with Natalie be forgotten. Nobody wants Nat to be forgotten.
No, and she won't be. No.
There's going to be a lot to unpack with her death too. I mean,
for all of them.
Yeah, I mean, even like for us still too, that death hit pretty hard. Brenda Bren, Shauna, we don't want to see Shauna killed, not yet. I mean, never, but definitely not in season 3. What do you think about Shauna dying? Do you think that would be something, I think for an adult timeline situation of Shauna dying, it would have to be season 5,
absolutely.
End of it, last one to die.
Yeah, she's the main character in my opinion. Adult Shauna is the main character of the show.
Yep.
So
Melanie Linsky knows all the stuff too, and there's a reason for it. Unless they're killing her off this season, and that's what she's talking about, which that would be a pretty deep tease.
Oh my gosh, that would floor me. That would absolutely floor me.
That would floor everybody. I mean, Melanie Linsky is like the heart and soul of the show. I mean, really, they all are, but let's face it, we love Melanie. She is incredible. Turbo Force 1984. Oh, Emily, read this one.
Mr. Matthews getting acquitted for the charges of the crash, and if he does get away with it, one of the parents would get rid of him.
I love his dedication to the Mr. Matthews is guilty for the plane crash thing. I mean, he is dedicated to it, and it's not out of the realm. I mean, it could definitely happen. So, we will see.
That would be wild. That would be beyond.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Forget about it. I mean, nobody wants to see Shauna dying. No. I definitely don't want that ever. I mean, I agree. We love Shauna.
Yeah, she's one of my favorites for sure.
We also posted this on Instagram. Emily, you want to read a couple of these ones?
Only roots I want to see is the girl in the roots. What does it mean? Freshly done roots.
Love that. And I feel like we got our wish, right? Because it looks like Nat's hair, she grew out the roots. Yeah. So it looks like, at least for Nat, no fresh roots are going on. So, but the girl in the roots in relation to Javi's drawing of whoever that woman in the tree was that Javi drew. Now that is something that I would like to see. I would like some answers.
I don't know if we will get answers on that. That might just be something that we are left to speculate on, and his friend just is something that the wilderness brought to him. I don't know.
Right? Or we'll all just have to assume that it was Rogue Ty.
Yeah. That's where my head is, honestly, is that it was her. But I don't know. And why would he call her his friend?
Right. It's
if it was
so
that.
weird because he's not just making new friends out there, which brings me to one of your notes on here. We made our list. One of your notes was the group stumbling upon another group of people or singular person out in the wilderness. What are your thoughts on that?
I would absolutely hate that.
It's
It just like it reminds me so much of Lost. And while I loved Lost, like Lost was a great show, but Lost was Lost and Yellowjackets is not Lost. And I don't want it to be Lost. So if it ventured into that territory, I would be very disappointed. Like very disappointed. The only
Yeah,
people I want to see out there are the people that rescue them. Like that's it.
exactly. And we do know that we're going to get, the third timeline, a 1998 rescue timeline. So that's something we really all want to see.
Yeah.
I think something, if we're talking about what we don't want to see, would be too little of that, right? We
Yeah,
want enough of that to really satiate our, desires to know that immediate fallout and aftermath. Going back to that, like it's important to get that immediate aftermath and fallout.
I agree.
Yeah. So,
It
yeah.
makes them who they are like as adults. So yeah, I want to know.
Yeah, 100%. Some other comments we got. This was a really hot take that I was really surprised to see by Ashley Dean on Instagram. I don't want to see adult Lottie back for season 3. What? And you want to read her comment as to why?
It's not that I dislike adult Lottie. It's just hard for me to find something that I don't want to see in season 3. There's tons that I do want to see, lol. So I thought if there's one thing I don't want to see, it would probably be this. Or maybe adult Misty having a different personality because of what happened to Natalie. Or Walter turning out to have an MO. I hope he just stays as he is. Which I do too.
Yeah, Misty never change. Like I would never want to see Misty
Oh
change her
no.
personality. Like depressed Misty. Oh no, I don't
That would
know.
crush me. Like she is I love her because of who she is. Like she's crazy. Like that is why I love her.
Yeah, yep. And another one, Lisa. We do
Yeah.
not want to see Lisa just disappear into the abyss. Although, I mean, it's possible because obviously things kind of tied up with the cult storyline. But is
But
there
did it
room for more
really
Lisa?
yeah. Did it really though? Like, is her cult just gonna like disappear because she and I mean, if there now we're talking about the idea of there being a time jump in the adult timeline. So if Lottie did go to a mental hospital after this, like would she still be there or would she be out? And would we see what happened when she went? Or would it just skip over that and we'd be in the present day in 2023 and like no context to what happened? Like I have so like that opens up so many questions for me, like the idea of there being a time jump in the adult timeline.
Right. And it is a big, where is Lottie going to be? Is she going to be
Yeah.
out? Is she going to be in? I mean, what's going on there? We talked a little bit about Saracusa. We talked about, Sammy and Simone and, Ty and Simone and
Mhm.
whatnot. But what about Ty and Van? Do we or do we not want to see them together? That is a big question
I'm
in the
like
adult
torn
timeline.
because I do want to see them together, but at the same time, like I know what that means, and that means like the destruction of her marriage to Simone and like her relationship with her child. So I'm very torn. Like I guess what's the word I'm looking for? Ethically, like in a way. Like
Right,
which
of
one
course,
is
because
it?
we don't wanna see people cheating on
Yeah,
their spouses, like, that's not what we
yeah.
wanna see, but, I mean, they do have, this bond, and in the behind the scenes pictures from filming season
Yep,
3,
yep.
we very clearly see them sitting at a table together,
Mhm. And they look pretty
so
cozy.
and that means that Van's not dead as well.
It does.
Kennedy saying, "No, Van cannot die either." And I mean, it appears if they did do a time jump in the adult timeline, then she's still alive, at least at this point. She doesn't look
Yeah,
like she's suffering from the throes of cancer at this point.
no, it did not. It sure did not.
So,
So
hmm.
that's another thing that makes me think that there's no time jump because if Van is alive, like I think it has to be present time like in the show. Like no time jumping into the future, like I guess the present if you want to call it the present because it technically is the present. But um yeah, I don't think that I don't know. I can't see that happening. A time jump in the adult timeline. I just can't. My
Yeah.
brain can't like compute.
And if they do have a time jump, and if Van is still alive, and if she indeed did have cancer, as she said, are we all just going to agree that there's some supernatural shit happening? Because how the fuck
Yeah.
else could she have gotten cured from cancer?
Yep.
That will solidify the supernatural for me, right? Ellen says Van beats cancer, the wilderness chose. And that's a statement right there that the show is making as well. And
Yeah.
we did hear we're going to get more on Ty and the man with no eyes, which, by the way, we did interview Brody, who plays the man with no eyes from season 2. So check that out. But yeah, interesting with the Van cancer situation, the Vancer, if you will.
Yeah.
And perhaps the wilderness really is, has some stuff going on, which opens the door to a lot more possibility. And Cabin Daddy, Emily, you had noted in the notes, Cabin Daddy, who, by the way, we also interviewed, love Will. He's fantastic.
Yes, he is awesome.
And so you of course want to make sure we get more information on Cabin Daddy or the symbol. We need more backstory. We need more explanation.
Yes.
Like, we can't just let the Cabin Daddy situation die here.
No, and part of me thinks that's what the bonus episode's going to be about. I mean, we have heavily speculated about that up to this point. So if we don't get it in season 3, I still think we're going to get it at some, like, I think we're going to get it, but at least it just makes sense for it to be that. If we're not getting more context to what happens right after the fire, like, we're not going to get an episode that shows what happened right after the fire and then get the season and have there be a time jump. Like, that would make no sense. And if it's not the teen timeline and it's not the adult timeline, what is it?
Right. So, I mean, hopefully we get more answers on the symbol. I mean, we've gone back and forth on the symbol. The very first episode of our podcast was on the symbol and what does it mean? And I really hope that by the end of the series, there's some
Kind of
substantive
answer.
information.
Yeah. Like, if I don't care if we don't get the original meaning of the symbol, but I want to know, like, did Cabin Daddy put it there, or did, like, somebody else put it there, or, like, why was it put there? Like, that's what I want to know. Yeah.
And then,
Like, look,
why is Ty drawing it on Simone's hand in the hospital? Like, that really creeped me out, man. That really creeped me out.
and when she was asked, she said it was for protection. But, like, as soon as the nurse walked away, she, like, rubbed it off her hand as soon as she could. So obviously it's not really for protection. Why are you telling people that? Like, that's just so weird.
Yeah. And, another thing that you had put down in the notes was Ty being a senator. What are your thoughts on how that could resolve or not resolve and what we're going to see or not see with that?
The more I think about it, like, I hope it doesn't just phase out, but I could see that happening in a way. Like, it just, her being a senator is part of the plot, but we don't ever see her being a senator, if you know what I mean. Because a part of me thinks that the whole sacrifice before the election was actually way more important than her winning the election. Like, I mean, not winning the election, but, like, the fact that she is a senator. Like, that sacrifice is what made her a senator. So I think that really was what they wanted to stress more so than the fact that, like, she's actually a real senator now. But it would kind of suck to just drop the storyline completely. Like, that would be bad storytelling, in my opinion, to just drop it.
Yes, but how you have to continue it in some way. I mean, she won the race. She's a senator. When she went on the road trip to see Van, the trucker guy knew who she was, but
yeah, that was weird.
It was weird. I mean, great, also visibility for some political figures. If people know them, that's great. But I can't see this turning into a legal thriller either, where, all of a sudden we're seeing,
this isn't like House of
political. No. So it will be really interesting to see where that storyline goes. And I guess for me, that means something I don't want to see is an excess of coverage on Ty being a senator. Like, I feel like it has to be kind of a background tertiary storyline where maybe we get some snippets here and there, but I don't want them wasting screen time on that. I want answers to other things. I don't want not getting answers to other things.
I'm right there with you. I feel the very same way. Answers are super important in a lot of aspects of this show. We need answers for a lot of things, so
Yes.
including that.
We most definitely do. So, I mean, for me, the biggest thing that I don't want to see are unresolved plot points and storylines. I
Mhm.
want answers. My children have turned on the television. Please hold on one second.
It's okay. No, you can't, bud. Daddy! Go with Daddy.
Boy, all kinds of kid problems. You know, it is really hard being a mom. Just a side note for anyone who's a parent out there, summertime is a tough time. I call my children the Bickersons because they just are bicker, bicker, bicker. So anyway, side note, sorry about the interruption. But
No, it's
you know,
totally okay. Noah actually just came in here and I have my mic muted because my husband just came in here to grab him.
oh, perfect. Yeah, you know, children. It's part of the mom life. What are you gonna do?
It for sure is.
You know, Kennedy noted here, you know, like when she adopted Steve, right? Like that was kind of a weird little storyline. And another thing,
Yeah,
like I need an answer about Steve. I do not want to see Steve having disappeared into the abyss and not knowing like is his head
is
on
he
an
still
altar
me
somewhere?
too?
Who is taking care of him? Like what?
Yeah, that's how I feel about Sammy though. Like I don't want Sammy to just disappear from the show, and I want to know, like, to me, the drawings that he did in season 1 were so creepy, and like I have thought about them ever since we first saw them. How did he get those ideas for those drawings? I want, like, that's something that I've always wanted to know. And if we get more answers on Ty with the man with no eyes, what if like Sammy starts to see the man with no eyes too, or something like that? I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
I
And if
hope I hope we see Sammy again.
that's what I'm saying. If they do a time jump and they just kind of write off Sammy and Simone, like that's lost. So I don't
Yeah,
think that they can do that. I think at the very minimum, if Ty and Simone split up, that there's a shared custody situation and we're seeing maybe part of that struggle
I
and we're
agree.
seeing, you know, some more context on Sammy and why on earth these things are manifesting in him.
Yeah.
So yeah. Kennedy, my children are 10 and 12. And how old is Noah, Emily?
He is 4.
He is 4. Yes, children. Speaking of children, Kennedy also said Sammy was staying with Simone's parents. So maybe Steve and Sammy are there. I mean,
Okay.
maybe, you know. But
Could we
I
not
mean,
see him again though, and just have it be like, oh, now he lives with Simone's family? Like, what?
yeah, that is something I don't want to see. I don't want to see, you know, not Sammy. And, you know, that said too, Aiden Stocks, who plays Sammy, if they're doing a time jump, I mean, technically, if it's a couple years, they can work with that and keep the same actor
Exactly.
because he'll have
Mhm.
aged properly for the couple years. And either
Yep.
way, with that short of time jump, they could probably get away with it. But I don't like it when they recast kids and
I
age
don't
them
either.
up. I know they have to, but I watched Trying on Apple TV Plus, and they've done that in season 4, and I don't
We
know. I
did
don't
it
love it, but
with Liam and Shameless too, and it really
yeah.
bothered me when they did that.
Yeah, that was not my favorite either. But that show was amazing, and Sammy Hanratty, of course, was in it.
Yes,
So
yes, she was great in
yes,
that.
yes, she was. So I mean, I think that covers most of the things that we've heard, you know, that people don't want. Let's look at the list again here. We covered Jeff, Cabinetti, Sammy Simone, Sarah Kusa. So really, we want to hear from you guys. Did we hit all of the things that we don't want to see in season 3 collectively? Are there other things that you really don't want to see? We want you to
Yeah,
comment and reply and tell us because all we have right now is our theorizing, and that's going to get us by for months, you guys. So
yeah, it does. So put your thinking caps on, guys.
put your thinking caps on. That's right. And hey, you know, make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel, Yellowjackets Hive. And yeah, we just appreciate you guys joining. We are going to be doing a Walter deep dive on our Patreon this month for our patron exclusive and also a Hive hangout. That's one of the perks of being a patron as well. So get
Mhm.
together with the Hive and whatnot. That's going to be later in the month. But as always, we just appreciate all of you guys. Thank you for buzzing in. God, we've got 50 viewers right now. That's
Mhm.
awesome for you know, a Tuesday afternoon. So thank
Yeah,
you guys for buzzing in. We
yeah,
appreciate it.
it's been fun.
Yes.
So until we spill again.